Good evening. Let's ponder a card. Let's pull a card and just have a look at it and see what is in store for us all. All right. To begin with, there's one thing I'm going to do. Yeah. All right. Le Soleil, the sun card. Okay. Happy Monday. So, the sun card's a good one because yesterday was sunny and very hot here where I am. It was about 90 degrees. And I accompanied some folks to a place called I think it was called Go-Kart World. It's a racetrack with go-karts. And it was really a hot day. And we showed up at this place. And it's all blacktop, like racetracks and stuff. But there was one building where they had the arcade. But of course, all the machines, the arcade, the fun machines that I would have been playing at, I would have gone straight into the arcade and spent the whole damn day shooting, just playing video games. That's all I would have done. But no, because of COVID, still, everybody has to wear masks, of course. But all the damn video game machines are roped away, so it's just a big empty warehouse with these machines all pushed together and surrounded by yellow, like, crime scene tape. So I was like, oh, man, okay, I can't do this. Well, whatever. Okay, fine, I'll get in a stupid cart and race. And I got in this cart, and it was so small and old. The seatbelt was fraying. I couldn't fit myself. My legs were, like, all bent and sticking out, and I was like trying to jam my feet into these holes for one was for brakes and one was for accelerator. And then they started up, and it's like your butt is on top of a lawnmower. That's basically what it felt like. And I was just like going, and I was like, oh my God, okay, fine, whatever. And he said, the guy on the track said, go. So I like press the gas and the thing starts going blah, 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 and it goes, and they have uphill parts of this stupid thing. And for a lap or two I had it, and then my foot must have slipped off the accelerator right when I was on a hill going uphill. And so my foot slips off the accelerator and goes like under the accelerator, but I didn't know that, so I keep jamming my foot down. And I come to a complete stop and start rolling backwards. And all the guys on the track are screaming, hit the gas, hit the gas. And I'm like, I am. Well, somebody crashes into me from behind because I'm rolling downhill backwards. and somebody hits me from behind, and my entire body like flies forward and then slams back because I have this stupid little seatbelt on. And they keep screaming, "Hit the gas!" I'm like, "Well, what? Oh!" And I see my foot is underneath the gas pedal. So I have to pull it out of there somehow, get it back out of there, and then I hit the gas. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so and the thing starts going forward again. And by the end, I got out and I said, "Okay, everybody else have fun, do the race, whatever. I'm just going to go and stand in the shade." And they had no refreshments. They had no water, nothing. So basically what I did to stay cool, I just went and sat in the car and I always carry stuff to drink in my car. I carry food and water and like candy and even like fruit juice. so I had a great old time sitting in the car listening to music, and I would get occasional texts like informing me of how many more races everybody else was going to do. and then so I was like, fine, whatever. And then after, on the way back, everybody was in a great mood. We stopped at 7-Eleven and got Slurpees, and I was like, yes, just give me a big cherry Slurpee and I will be totally fine. And that's what I did. But that brings me to that is my story for the Sun card, because the Sun card was sort of yesterday, my misfortune on the track notwithstanding. Somebody who was competent in such things would have been able to find the gas pedal and race, but for some reason I couldn't achieve it. It's embarrassing and humiliating. If you've never rolled backwards downhill on a little racetrack with people watching you in a tiny little go-kart, a grown man, you have no idea what embarrassment really feels like. But the Sun card isn't really about embarrassment. It's about sort of joy and, the being able to see and enjoy, being able to see everyone clearly and openly. It's a sharing, it's enjoying together, it's community. It's the best parts of a day like yesterday, and the sort of enjoyment of what we were calling like the first hint of summer. Yesterday is what we were sort of referring to it as. And then at some point later on, slip and slide came into play, and that was really fun. But for younger people, of course. And playing football and all that kind of stuff. So the Sun card quite literally was the sort of feeling of yesterday, that shared enjoyment and being with friends and just being silly, and everything is sort of going well except for me on the racetrack, but whatever. At least they enjoyed my shenanigans. And my God, a 12-year-old can handle a go-kart better than I can. I used to. When I was 12, I used to be able to like jump and think, but this time I was like, what? I don't know. The only thing that could have happened worse is that the thing could have overturned and exploded. And that would have been the only thing more embarrassing. So the Sun card is perfect and kind of captures that feeling of going into, dealing with spring things and summer. And, I like those things. I love the whole winter sports thing and winter fun. And then when that stops, it's sort of that's over, the snow and everything. And then in the mountains, at least, is what I'm talking about, at least for me. But then very quickly, all of a sudden, oh wait, there's beach, so we can go to the beach, and that's like gearing up. So yeah, bumper cart. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, the succulents thing. See, what I figured out about these succulents is if you go and you get these things and they're in these little pots, and if you go to a nursery to get such things, they make them. Usually have a section with cacti all nicely configured, but they charge an arm and a leg. And I was walking along and I passed a Whole Foods, and Whole Foods has these cacti out there potted nicely, and they're like a fourth of the price that you would pay at your average nursery, at least in my city. So I was like, oh, cool. So I just grabbed two, and literally I must have paid like $4.50 a piece for these things at Whole Foods, and they're nice if I can keep them alive. And cactus should be easy. You should be able to forget about a cactus for a month, and it shouldn't die. But you got to give the one thing about cactus, like with any plant, you've got to give them light, so they can sit here on this table while I do the stream. But then they have to go and sit in the window. And my last time I used cactus in taro, I left them sitting on the taro table. Apparently, I forgot they were there, and they just sat there and didn't get enough light. So, yeah, they're cool. I realized I was missing plants because, the taro thing, you tend to gravitate toward crystally sort of things. But that, it gets a little, crystals are, they're just rocks, basically. A lot of polished rocks going on. So the plants I like, kind of, talk in tarot a lot about, the Empress and fertility and, abundance. Well, I just like to have a little bit of that sort of showing in the setup. But yeah, the Sun card is great, and it has, the Sun card, if you're going to do reversals, you have to account for, the Sun card's sort of flip side, where you have like the glaring, what's the thing that often comes out of that? So it can lead to sort of a overabundance of cheer and sort of false goodwill, and it can even lead into sort of dictatorial kind of over authority sort of things, like too much. The cheerful sunlight becomes like a spotlight, basically a harsh examination. That's the flip side that you have to be careful if you're reading reversals. I wrote something about that. I'm just trying to find where I put it. I said something. The sun, the words that I used about the sun in the app I wrote: happiness, success, balance, stability, abundance, affection, outgoing, optimism, leadership. I didn't write in my little guide about the reversal, but that shows up if you get the card in a reading. But that leadership thing can lead you toward over authoritarian sort of attitude. But that has nothing to do with having a great time with friends gearing up for summer. So, looking at the card right now, I'm sort of doing it in that way. That sort of way of the mood, like what's good for the soul at this time of year. And, well, what's good for the soul is for me anyway, and for a lot of people I know, to sort of think about going out into the sun and enjoying and letting stresses drop away. And I had a very hard week. I did very little streaming this week because I had a very difficult week at work. A lot of big problems. And the sun card is the card you can really meditate on if you're in a stressful work week. You can look at that card and look at the pleasure that it's radiating, and just kind of you just sort of expose yourself to that image and ponder the things that you like, those memories that pop when you say sun, summer, and those memories that pop in everyone from childhood, and what's enjoyable about that. That's what that card is getting at. That's why it has the two kids on it, for God's sake. It's trying to get at those remembrances that we all have about summer. Yeah. What made everything so fun? So I set up my obnoxious VR rig again. The intention being to go in there and see, and I never know what time is best. I've kind of not yet figured out when to go into VR to make it most likely that people will stumble through and ask for tarot readings. So, the Toth, yeah, it doesn't, yeah, having a hard time. I know, reversals are really, it's like you've got your Lorelei, hi, good night, how are you, welcome. Reversals, you have to sort of decide how you, as a reader, want to handle reversals. A lot of people get snarky about people who don't want to imply too much negativity in tarot readings. And like I was in the Facebook group the other day. I'm a member of a Facebook group that has, it's about tarot. And people, they express their opinions, they ask questions, all this stuff. But what's interesting is when somebody makes a comment about reversals and says, I hate it when people try to purposely avoid the dark, negative connotations of cards. And so I'm like, okay, well, that statement is more complicated. It brings up complexity. Because what are you really talking about? Are you talking about negativity because you're predicting things? How are you using the cards in the first place? Like the Tower. Somebody was arguing about the Tower card and saying, a lot of people try to say that there's nothing negative in the Tower card, but there is. People are falling to their deaths from the Tower. And somebody else got in the comments and said, well, sort of, but, they're not necessarily dying. You don't see anyone dead yet. And then, so they, but the fact is, when you're talking about psychology, the psychology of tarot, what does the tarot do for us? You really have a problem if you try to make cards deeply negative consistently. The Tower card, yes. Now and there's a good reason for that. I was reading your comment, your Lorelei. Yeah, and that's important. Most people, everyone, even I, that tend to take sort of a lenient view of negative cards, they're scary because they're meant to unsettle. They're meant to destabilize. So the Tower card, it's tricky because you don't necessarily have to view it as a negative card of disaster. It implies, to my mind, deeply unsettling events or feelings in the psyche. And everything that happens in the psyche, as long as we're talking about positive, healthy directions here, happens for a reason and happens for development and happens for sort of increasing awareness. So these cards are meant to dig in and unsettle and create discomfort and fear to some extent, because those things go deeper and deeper and deeper and start to sort of create the imbalances as pictured by the Tower, the imbalances that are necessary to create change, to create those situations in your mind that where things start to move, the rocks, the rocks start to slip and slide against one another instead of remaining static forever, and you create this is why I use the word transmutology. I put this word into my tarot. It's a word that I sort of just concocted, ology and transmute, change, transformation, this sort of self-change. And I apply that to tarot because that's how I use the tarot, the transmutation, that kind of thing that one sort of seeks, not constantly, but on occasion, as one deals with various things, and depending on one's mood, you get into these places where you want to transmute, you want to change something about yourself, and tarot is a tool for that. So when you're afraid of a tarot card, that's actually a really good card, because that's something to really sort of go, okay, let me look at that and keep looking at that, and let's find all the ways it's scary. Let's not be dodgy about them. Let's not run to the Sun card just because the Devil card makes us uncomfortable or the Tower card makes us uncomfortable. Let's think about why, for me, this card is a discomfort, and is that actually beneficial? Sitting there and being pleasant with tarot forever and, expecting nice, charming cards, that never really gets anyone down the road changing much. It takes a little bit of discomfort to make changes and to transmute. Find new insight into whatever strikes it. Yeah, that's the Twitch Tarot bot pipes in and says that. Okay, I think I have it on like a 10 or 15 minute cycle. But it keeps reiterating that because the point is find new insight. And unsettling cards really do probably have more, they're better tools for doing that than the nice comforting cards. Devil card, I'm reading what you're saying. Tower card that sparked a lot of discussion. The Tower card. Yeah, it does. It sparks discussion, just like on Facebook in the tarot group there. With the differences between the world, tower, and death. Yes, and that's true. But the death card can be taken. You got to look at the death card as it's more oriented toward death and decay, and what those things, the elements that compose that story, death and decay, what happens with death and decay? Well, it's a nature cycle. It implies elements of fertility. It implies sort of the death card, brings up these feelings of natural order and progression down the line, and sacrifice sort of on the altar of change in order to enrich the ground for what can come next. And so you have to keep that idea in mind with the death card of sadness because something is passing. Sure, it's a mourning. You can mourn. Doesn't mean that it's a hugely negative card because you're mourning something. Doesn't mean you're mourning your aunt who died. It means you're mourning the passing of, it can be anything that's a part of us. It's a way of thinking that we can no longer do. We're growing out of something, and we can mourn the passing. We can say, this won't be anymore. And it has served its purpose. It had its time, but what that card has to also remind you of is those dead things that were so valuable at one time, and when they pass, they sink in. They sink down into the groundwork. We're talking about the mind here. They sink in and they become the rich, fertile place where the next things develop. So that the point is to keep without being too specific, you just sort of keep that sense of the story, that kind of story, flowing through your thinking for the death card. So then you can move in, you say the tower. Okay, the tower is different. The tower is a shock that completely destabilizes and brings down a structure that you may have built around something or around yourself, a protective mechanism that events or sudden awareness has presented you with the realization that this no longer holds water. And everything is just, oh my God. It's like that moment you see in movies, where oh my God, they become aware of some facts, they're investigating, and it just brings everything crumbling down. And the hero finds out that, his wife is doing this or that, and his whole family, everything just chaos, and the house gets blown up with hand grenades, and because they've gotten too close to the truth, and the government's coming after them with hitmen. Okay, so because they've investigated, and you have to kind of internalize this with the tarot. You're investigating, you're learning, you're finding out about yourself, you're seeing things, you're sensing new things, and certain things that you've built, usually around the ego. That's what this card represents, sort of ego focused. They start to come down. The protections come down. So it's not so much a mourning like the death card and a passing on with more fertile ground. It's the collapsing process, the breaking down process, tearing down your protective outer armor. And people falling to the ground to their deaths, well, be careful there, because in some of these cards, they're not really looking all that worried. And so you have to think of it as dropping your guard because of things that have really just sort of shattered what your assumptions were. So there you go with a Tower card. Now, when you go to the world is a circle, or an oval, but circle, a person in it. It's kind of got a sense of wholeness, of unity, of like a womb-like structure. And the character is sort of in motion. They seem to be in sort of a dance pose, usually. The dancing god, I can't ever remember god names. Is it Hindu? Anyway, all the arms and legs. But anyway, that's the sense. There's like a godlike feel of the world card where things have coalesced, and when you have come to some sort of a feeling of being complete and whole. Doesn't mean you necessarily have achieved that universally in your life as a person. It just is applied to various parts of oneself. Maybe something you've been working on, or something you've been trying to understand for years. Well, the world card represents a realization and a feeling like, yes, I can grasp that sense of my real self, being happy, feeling complete, and sort of celebrating the idea of knowing myself, or achieving. It doesn't even have to be the self. You can be talking about someone external also, where you perceive this about someone else. But that wholeness of that card, and also it has a quality of birth. That womb-like word I used, that there's a rebirth quality. There's, you've come through a process, and it's reached its culmination, and you're born into, some people in the 70s used to call people born again. There's no need for that. It's just sort of a rebirth kind of feeling. Complete. Zen. It's a Buddhist card. That world card is very much sort of the Buddhist principle of finding reality. The meditation leading to this great sense of realization of what the self is, or at least getting a whiff of that, and that's the world card. So those are differences, and they don't have to have specific predictive meanings. Like because you get the world card instead of the Tower card, X, Y, or Z will happen tomorrow. They are things to sort of sense and feel, and let that water sort of rush over you. Or like when you're standing at the beach and the waves come in and you let them run over your feet. I'm saying beach because it's summer. Yes, I've been talking about summer, and there's that sun card sitting there on the tarot table. But that sense of just letting the sense of the card wash over you, because it leaves something behind. It has an effect on you that's gradual, and the more you think about these things, day here, a day there, and then you realize a few months have gone by, and you've sort of clarified what impressions certain cards give you, and you let those impressions kind of just sort of wash over you, and it starts to have an effect. It is meditation. Tarot is meditation. It's just another way of doing it. Instead of sitting with your legs crossed on a pillow with your palms facing skyward and going, You're just doing it in a different way with these images, but it is definitely, absolutely meditation. Oh, hi, Tarot Card 1981. Yeah, I'm not sure what they were coming to. Yeah, and your point, Unity, about they all seem to be one thing ending and another beginning. Yes, the world card, and that we discussed death in the tower and the way they sort of have a different sense of things ending. The world card is a sense of something ending because something grand has been achieved, and awareness has happened. A meditation has led to an aha moment. In that sense, something is ending. A process of learning has reached its culmination, and the person has gone, oh, I get it. Now I'm ready for the next thing. It's like this celebratory sort of ending and moving into the next thing. Yeah. Yeah, Unity. I and this is exactly what I think. I would have typed something similar into Reddit, although I'm literally the world's worst Reddit user. I think I only figured out how to log into Reddit literally like 4 months ago. But yeah, go ask. Yeah. I think I used Reddit for something software related. Honestly, nothing tarot related. It was just technical. Because unbelievably, I actually do that in my other life. And oh, Tarot Card 1981, you have Alexa. So, oh, hi, wait, I'm reading back in the chat here. So Tarot Card 1981 said, oh, you're the high, I love, the High Priestess, I believe, is my favorite card. The High Priestess, and I always like to talk about the High Priestess. Where is it? Hang on. Let me see if I can quickly find the High Priestess card. High Priestess. I'm just going through 78 cards. Here she is. The High Priestess. I'm going to put her face up. The High Priestess. So Tarot Card 1981. The High Priestess is a go-between. And go-betweens are very important. They factor in to mythology and religion. They move between worlds, and they bring information, and they share it. But the High Priestess is sort of able to go in to, hidden places and she brings things up. She's the percolator, she's the, when you're talking about psychologists and what they do and how, I remember a psychologist once told me that there's a bubbling up that as you talk back and forth with someone, a psychologist or whatever, when you're talking, the unconscious begins to, if it feels safe, it begins to let things slowly pop on the surface like bubbles coming up through tar, like in the La Brea tar pits. They go bloop, bloop, bloop. Well, that's what those bubbles of information coming up from deep in the psyche. That's the high priestess. She enables that transfer, that change to happen. The information coming up that one it wasn't necessarily aware of before, and now one is. So she brings things from dark to light. That's what I think about the high priestess. And she has that book there, so the book can imply a couple things: that she can read the hidden language and understand it, but she can also write it. She can also communicate it. She can bring what was unknown into language. Okay, so thinking back, Unity, thinking back to the days when you first began studying tarot, how long did it take before you felt ready to read for other people? What was it? Okay, well, it's funny because I still don't actually feel ready. Whenever I read for someone, I kind of wonder if anything will come out each time. It's really weird. I wonder if anything, what if the cards are just totally stupid and, what if I just can't even connect? What if I just pull 3 cards out and I can't make any real connection? It's funny, but that's one thing. But in general, feeling comfortable reading for people, I would say I started to feel like I would enjoy reading for people. Oh, I don't know, just a few years ago. I would say most prior to that, my work with tarot was very sort of solitary, except for the fact of building an app for tarot, which required a lot of writing and study and building that to make that a public tool. So, but that's building an app, and you're building something that will do the readings itself. But still, it was me using my language in writing to do it. But it's still different than sitting down and reading in front of people. But like everyone, just doing it for friends. Because friends, you can have those nice moments where you're having dinner and, people just like it's almost better than like a board game night. Everybody's sitting around, they have glasses of wine, they have a fire going, and if you are in the mood to give a tarot reading, that's how you start getting comfortable, because you don't have worry with your friends so much. You just kind of enjoy the evening and have a few sips of wine and then shuffle the cards and let somebody ask a question. You know what I mean? And so that's really the best way to do it, I think. Yeah, well, I told a story here. Friends can give you a lot of crap because they can get very logical and start asking questions, on a rational basis. And so that's where I think I have a little bit of an out, basically, because my attitude about tarot leans toward the psychological, leans toward the using it as a meditative tool, much less than a predicting tool, which lets me off the hook a little bit with rational people, actually. They kind of like to hear that. It makes them feel safe when I say, don't worry, I'm not going to predict whether or not you will die next Wednesday. And they're like, oh, okay, good. So, because, rational people, the funny thing about the tarot is, and there's a whole thing about tarot that I have, which is it kind of needs to be colorful. It kind of needs to have an element of fun. And it kind of needs, I like those carnival-y things about tarot. I like the idea of the disreputable fortune teller sitting in a tent telling people's fortunes. I think that's really cool. Even though I don't necessarily use it that way, I like those things about it. And I think that people can go to one of those fortune tellers and have a great time and get a lot out of it if they're there to enjoy it. If they're really in trouble and asking for life-saving advice, that's incredibly foolish. There are IQ tests in the world, and they're pretty good. And you can put some people, you can categorize people, and people who go looking for devastating life problem answers to a fortune teller are not particularly swift, obviously. They're just, most of these people would be better off talking to a therapist or a life work coach or an accountant, for God's sake, or a lawyer or a doctor. So, but tarot has a use. It just has to be treated sort of with a light touch. It has to kind of be used as a fun tool that offers meditative insights and can be really a profound thing. But people really, the people that come into a stream and ask questions, they're great. I love to do it. But by and large, they're asking questions to get, a speedy answer. But there aren't any speedy answers, really. And this is why I kind of equivocate in my readings a little bit and tell people, I'm not going to really tell you whether or not he's going to call you back. That's not what this is really about. We can use that as a topic, that feeling about waiting for someone to call you back. Let's get at that feeling, though. Let's get into the mindset around it. Hi, Broccoli 2021. Yes, you're very observant. Those are I Ching coins. And thank you, Broccoli, for spotting those. The reason I had those there is because years and years ago, I made my own I Ching chart. It's a surface, and I'm going to use it on here. I'm going to actually, this tarot stream has other components, and one of them will be I Ching. But I'm going to use I made an artistic sort of a little, like a chart where you can roll the I Ching and use this chart to find the hexagrams and put your I Ching reading together. Yeah, I think that, if you the I Ching and the tarot have a lot of relationship. It's like East and West sort of different sort of approaches to the same idea, really. Totally, I think it would rock. Yeah, the I Ching, to use the I Ching, and I promise I'm gearing up to do that. What basically I've been putting so much energy into tarot that I've sort of drifted from the I Ching a bit, and I have to kind of sit down and sort of roll some I Ching and get back the sense of it, of putting those hexagrams together. And you because in the I Ching you've got those moving lines, and I've got her. Oh yeah, okay. But my chart that I made so many years ago with watercolors, it helps. It gives you your reading. It's really a nice little thing, and it will work perfectly under the tarot camera over there on the tarot table. So thank you for noticing, Broccoli, because that is, a big factor. I've always sort of liked the tone of the I Ching, and how the I Ching kind of has that. It also sort of agrees with my philosophy about tarot, because it has sort of like a wise person giving you sage advice. That's the attitude of the I Ching, rather than necessarily making predictions. It's giving you really calm, considered advice. And I've heard people talk about the I Ching, and they are like, you know what? This damn thing is never wrong. It is just never wrong. You can't go wrong with the I Ching. And I see what they're talking about. I've experienced that with it. So I'm gonna make a nice big I Ching splash on here, Broccoli, and I hope you jump in on the stream when I do that. I'll try to do it in the next week. Yeah. Good evening, Sir T.N. Chris. How are you? Yes, pure wisdom. I'm telling you, man, it really is. And it's funny because the tarot and the I Ching, and it's like nobody knows for sure the history of the tarot. And I keep wishing that there was some subtle connection somewhere. But there is, just by virtue of the fact that, as Carl Jung said, the collective unconscious. We humans, whether we're in one culture or another, we tend to have very similar experiences. And so, of course, we codify them. We put them into systems like this, and they resemble one another if you really get down to the basic ideas of tarot and I Ching. You find similarities because they're dealing with the same human forces. T.N. Chris bought a copy of Taschen's tarot book. Yes! Good. It is. It's really gorgeous. And I kind of like that it's not one of those gigantic coffee table size Taschen books. I like that it has... it's more usable for the tarot person. It's more usable as a reference. Yeah, it's totally manageable, and I'm slowly working my way through it. I'm still on the part where they just go through the major arcana cards, and I'm just kind of enjoying one every few days with that book, because it's gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily go for all of the artists in there, but who cares? There's so much in there. It never showed up for you. What? That's too bad. You know what? Look in your order. Go back in Amazon and look at your order and see if it's the U.S. Postal Service delivering it, because I have had this problem with Amazon quite frequently over the past 6 months, where if the U.S. Postal Service sends it, it disappears. It gets stuck in one of their processing centers. It disappears, and I got a refund for 2 things that both showed up like 2 or 3 weeks later. After I got refunded, the post office found it and sent it through, but they were lost for like 3 weeks. So if it was U.S. Postal, that could be what happened. If it wasn't, then maybe something else happened. But I bet it's the stupid U.S. Post, because they're having problems. They've been in sort of crisis, I think, for a while, and they're still trying to get it sorted out. But your book may arrive. Oh, you know why they look healthy, Broccoli 2021? They look healthy because I just bought them the other day. I haven't had a chance to destroy them yet. I'm trying to keep them. Once I'm done with the stream, I pick them up. I'm going to put them straight back in the window so they can have light all day tomorrow. Because they can't sit here on the tarot table. They won't get light during the day. Yeah, check back in a month and we'll see how good they look. So, but actually in a month they'll be gigantic. They'll be taking over the entire. You'll just see a little tarot card peeking out from a jungle of cacti. Yeah, I was saying earlier, I like to have a little bit of the nature in. I realized I didn't. I was missing that for a few weeks. But a few years ago, I was doing readings via YouTube, and I had plants at that time. And I was like, oh, I got to get the plants again. I loved having that. So, yeah. Yeah, plant vibes, man. You can't beat it. So I think I should just I'm going to do a quick reading. I'm going to run and I have coffee. I have to pour some coffee, and then I'm going to do a 3-card reading. Yeah, they might turn into pine. That's right. They're not too far from being pineapples, if actually. Hi, Whippy. How are you doing? I'm going to really quickly fill up my coffee and come back and get ready to do some reading. Okay. All right. I actually, what I did is I went and I'm having cheese and that's my dinner. Make cheese and crackers. So, all right. Open it. That the Oreos were eaten. They were eaten. I mean, a good source of energy. I honestly never buy ever. That was the first time I bought Oreos in 20 years. I'm sorry, I have to. I haven't had enough food. Okay. Yeah. You know what the cheese is? It's Manchego from Costco. And they sell it in this giant, like a really big thing. And I just cut it into like 3 or 4 wedges. And I think it's cheaper than buying it at the grocery store. Hi through fire. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Through fire, yes. That's a really good point about VR. I know. And that's because I tend to start nodding as people in VR talk to me. If I'm doing a tarot reading and they start to converse with me, I tend to want them to know that I'm paying attention. So I do a lot of like this. Oh yeah. And it makes the headset move. And you were looking behind me because I'm I kept like turning around because people pop into VR and I don't know they're there. You're right. So I have to figure out a way to make it. See, here's the thing. What I wish is that AltSpace, the people that are running it, Microsoft, would provide us with a really easy way to just set up a viewpoint that, you know what I mean? Just a viewpoint like camera. And maybe they do. I have to look into that because you're right. Maybe just a stable point of view showing everybody in the room, but without all the bouncing around. Yeah. Ooh. I know what you're saying, but here's what I'll do. If I go back in to VR, I'm going to be very careful and remember that my eyes are the camera. I'm going to try to keep just a very steady, and if I turn, I'll just turn smoothly. And maybe I can just fix it for you by doing that. It's possible. Okay, so now the first card of the night was the Sun card. I did a little talking about that and its cheer and joy and its application to the, summertime approaching and all that. And then someone here came in and they were talking about how they feel like they're the High Priestess. So the High Priestess, go between conscious and unconscious. Now I'm just going to do a general three card quick reading, not in VR. Okay. Not in VR. Although I do have the VR running. But okay, so let's have a look at the cards. Ooh, I needed some energy. The cheese and crackers, I don't mean to be like snacking, but I needed, you start to get wobbly if you don't, it's funny, man. And with all my rattling off at the mouth, okay, we're going to do a 3-card reading to sort of just get a sense of the beginning of the week. And if this doesn't apply to someone, then it's just sort of a general for anyone in the room, listening, watching. All right. We're not going to do reversals. Not for the purposes of this. The 10 of Cups. Heart, emotion, deep feeling, love. Everything that are our deepest feelings following the heart. Basically, it tends toward the positive sort of love emotion. We leave the more negative, conflicting feelings to swords, even though they're the intellect suit. They represent conflict, but these can be feelings that are, they can be sorrow. But we're talking about a very full heart having sort of prepped us and brought us here to this moment on a Monday. The 10, the fullness of the heart, this sort of, we do follow our heart. We do get in touch with our feelings. We want those feelings. We want to experience them. We allow them to sort of move through us. And that brings us to where we are. We have this deep faith in our emotional lives. And so that brings us that ability to communicate with our feelings, to express them openly, to sort of pour them out. That brings us to the 7 of Cups. The 7, where the heart begins to destabilize itself, but with deep inner self-awareness, like new developments, new feelings coming in, but they incline us toward activity that fosters love and good feeling and positivity and growth, development. The 7 is that spirit of moving and developing and growing in a spiritual direction, not just a worldly one. The 7 has that spiritual element that comes in where we're following our heart. We have these deep feelings and we're willing to express, and now we're willing to move and explore more unknown areas, unknown aspects of what our emotions are telling us, things we haven't been aware of before. But now we can use these feelings. We can use them and we can put them, we can apply them. We can, expressing things to someone else or even just to ourselves, becoming conscious of them gives us this moment for growth. And that's what the 7 implies. It's a very tricky number. Some people call it benevolent action in the world. The 7 in general, with the Tarot de Marseille deck. Benevolent action in the world, but with a spiritual twist. Usually when people become more spiritual, they do engage and seek to take benevolent actions in the world, things that help. And now, with this feeling of the heart, this ability to express our feelings and learn more about them and engage positively with them and with other people, we come to a sort of a personality card, a court. The Queen of Pentacles, coins, deniers, the earthy, the bringing it down to what's real, what we can touch and hold, a person we can hold, following our heart, expressing our heart, learning more about how we truly feel brings us reward that we can hold, family, home, the security. The Queen, she understands how to nurture, how to take care, how to express her feelings and make things grow, improve things at home, at work. It can be financial, it can be bodily, health, but the cards are telling us to express, to feel, to enjoy, and treat that with a reverence and bring it out there and let it influence our behavior for the better. And in turn, this will allow us growth in our home and our physical well-being. The physical card, the earth card of the coins, has to be looked at also with its deeply spiritual aspect. There's a reason why we have crystals like these things hanging out in these environments. These are the physical. These are the earth. There's nothing more earth than these things. So, and yet these are viewed as very sort of spiritualized, meditative objects. So we have to take that point of view when we're looking at the coin cards, the earth card symbol. And remember that element of spirituality in the material. So we're applying this deep heart, this deep reservoir of love to the material of our lives. And what does that do? What does that bring us? Well, that's for each person to figure out. Yeah, I always enjoy the 7 card. That's 7 of cups. And I also sort of dread it because it's just one of those complicated ones. It doesn't have that simplicity of the 4. You're welcome, T and Chris. Oh, okay. There's a couple people in the queue. I got to hit those people. Okay. Whippy. Whippy. Go right on ahead and give me your subject matter, your topic. Okay, your future goals. Okay. Whippy. Yes. All right, let's get started. Talking about achieving goals and what you want to accomplish for the family. That's a nice kind of way of phrasing. Okay, let's think about achieving for the family. This is you. This is the self. This is a major, the Chariot. This is a card of command and activity and going out and getting it done. This is saying some part of you seeks to take charge and to move out and do what you can. And you have absolute self-confidence. This is pointing at that part of you that is self-assured, in command of oneself and all these forces outside. You're able to, command calmly. You go out, you commit, you make things happen, you get job done. That's what this card is talking about in a deep way. This is a major arcana card. This is not something that just comes and goes. This sits and stays. And this is the sort of personality self representative in this reading. This is the mind. We're not doing reversals today. This is the mind. The 5, the heart again. Here we are, the heart. And the 5 unsettles and moves and jostles and gets things, the blood pumping, because something new has come in. A new feeling. Something is making your heart beat a little faster. Something sort of got you going. It creates emotions are coming to the surface, and they can be unsettling and a little distracting and a little nerve-wracking also. That's what the 5 is. The 5 is that unknown quantity that, like a rock into the pool of water, and the ripples are, we don't know what's going to happen next. The heart is in flux. There's movement going on in the realm of feelings. So this is something to consider. That's the position in this reading. This is something to think about and be aware of. Take this emotional sense of instability and don't let it control you. Don't let it run on its own engine. Keep it in mind. Be aware of it. Shine the light of your awareness on it. Now over here we get into heart, feeling. And again we have cups. Now we've got the 8. There's a perfection in the 8. And action. But the perfection is like infinite perfection. The symbol 8 is like the infinity symbol turned over. So infinite potential, balance, applying your feeling, your heart to something with great energy and seeking that perfection. So this card is basically saying you have all the feeling, all of the passion required to do what it is you're seeking. And you can apply those feelings that perhaps are unsettling over here. But because you are maintaining your control, which is here, your command, your reason, and you're basically analyzing what's going on here. Why is this unsettling happening? It's allowing you here to take your heart and your feelings and really just let them help you, let them guide you as you work or as you interact or relate with people. They could be family, they could be job, they could be making your own decisions. Follow the heart. Don't let the uncomfortable emotions over here worry you, because you have this command here, you have this self-confidence, you have this capability. And these are number cards. These are more drifting in and out. These are like ripples. They don't last that long. So these upheavals over here, they're here today, gone tomorrow. This, you apply it when you need it. You've got that full heart. You've got that feeling for what you want. Follow it. Now we get to the very heart of the matter. 5 of coins, pentacles, material, earth. And again, that 5, something new. Something new comes in. There's a new possibility that arrives here. This is in the family, the home, the job, the finance, medicine, anything that has to do with the physical life of being here in the world and living and getting stuff done for living, or eating and cooking, building. It's all here in the earth sign. Never, of course, forgetting that we pour our feeling and our spirituality into this earth symbol, just the way, as I said a few minutes ago, we do with these crystals, these rocks. Now, this is a new element that comes in, just like here, with the feeling, with the heart. It comes into your material environment and creates It unsettles things. But because of all of this command and ability to follow the heart, the ability to apply one's knowledge, skill, self-confidence, and emotional life to something leads to new developments and activity that begin to change things, most likely for the better. Because these are, look at you can't argue with the guy in the chariot holding the scepter with the crown and the horse. You just can't argue with him. That's the point of that personality. That is, I get what I want. That's what I do. And it leads, because I do these things out of love, it leads to new developments in the material realm. So, as always, and as with most things, I think that having self-confidence and seeing that aspect of one's personality and knowing how you feel about things and how to follow your heart in whatever it is you're working toward, those are very important factors always. All right, next in the queue, 215 Latina. Latina, go ahead and give me your subject matter. if you're still there, 215 Latina, just let me know you're still there. Okay, there you are. Aha. Your future, should you follow your heart, what are the spirits trying to guide me towards? Okay. I get what you're saying. All right. Let's have a look at what these cards will tell us. All right, 215 Latina. Okay. What we have here. We're looking at influence up to now, present, and influence moving forward. The two of coins, coupling, coming together. This is the meeting of minds. This is something where you are able to share. It has to do with work and home and physicality. Whatever you can touch and use, you are able to use things and share together. This is a coming together, a coalescing, a meeting, a marriage of minds, or a literal marriage. This is people working together. The implication here is seek that partner. Stick to them, share resources, share what you have with this other person, or this can be a metaphor. This can be purely internal to you, but it's a bringing together of things that may have seemed separate before, but bring them together to create strength. This could be sharing, any kind of wherewithal to get something done. It could be two neighbors agreeing on building a fence. It has a physical sense to this card. Now, that's sort of leading up to the present. And here we have the present moment. And this is heart. This is love. And this appears to be coming out of this. So the heart, the 6, this is harmonious. This is pleasure. This is enjoying it. This is like community. This is real sharing of feeling here. Physical, heart. Now, moving forward, the 13 card, which is not called the death card, but usually people call it the death card. This is something is passing. Something is leaving. Something is done. Over. There's a decision that's been made, perhaps following one's heart here, the real, what you know gives you pleasure. It can lead to something else that can no longer remain. And that's what this card shows. Something cannot remain. Something cannot survive this development. But its passing becomes the fertile soil here. This is basically a farmer. He's a reaper, but he's a farmer. He's putting things in the ground. These things decay. They become the future. They fertilize. They enrich the future growth to the next thing. So there's a very deep sense here, at least for the immediate, recent time, of coming together physically somehow, which leads to really joyful, deeply pleasurable feelings of the heart. This is where you want to be. And this produces, but also influences and guides and changes this. In other words, the more coming together there is here, the more feeling of love there is here, the more change but productive fertilization for future growth happens here. The Death card represents the ending of something that you may mourn, you may feel sad about it, but it moves forward to the next cycle beginning, which focuses on that. Total heart pleasure. Love. So yes, you have a very clear symbol in that middle card saying exactly what you said in your question about following the heart. And that means following your heart, even if you feel like things change and that something leaving you or some part of you leaving feels sad for a while. It's a cycle. It's the cycle of life. As long as one follows the heart, that center card, that 6, the words that I use, attraction and pleasure. That's what the 6 is. $2.15 Latina. So make sure you follow that center card because it guides you through the card on the right, which we all deal with. And looking back at Whippy, yes, you're welcome, Whippy, for the reading right before the one I just did. Yes. Just yep. If you want something, you get it. Yeah. And hopefully you can clear your mind a little bit, Whippy. Yes. Okay. Through fire, you can go ahead and ask yours. I know what you mean, through fire. Okay, so just spill it out and we'll figure out what the question is. It doesn't have to make sense. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Okay, love related. Love and respect yourself. I want to create more chances to create love. Yeah. Very good. That's excellent. Okay. The subject is, quite simply, create more chances to create love in life. Let's see. That's a cool question, actually. So the idea is, it fits in perfectly, actually, with my point of view on things, because it's a way to sort of ponder and meditate on that question of how do we create more chances to create love. And I get what you're saying about it doesn't have to be romantic necessarily. It's just, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Okay. All right. This is the swords. This is the bringing together of ideas. This is the combining of things. This is discussion, communication, sharing being open about one's thoughts. This is expression, sharing with someone. The two always has an element of the coupling. This is two people sharing. This is the coming together of ideas, the open discussion, respect, mutual agreement. The swords also have an element of conflict in them. But we're not really talking about conflict here. We're talking about how to create chances for love. Therefore, we look at the sword, the Two of Swords, for its meaning related to communication and sharing. So, what it's saying is that one-on-one communication is of the utmost importance. Being clear in one's thinking and expression, and the willingness to share openly with someone without hiding. This is the coupling card. This is gathering of force, of strength involving the two. It's sort of like meeting of minds. Hey, we think alike. Even if you don't think alike, it doesn't have to be that, but there has to be a connecting, a sharing back and forth of open, free communication without any hesitation, so that there's no worry about someone disagreeing. That you can disagree as much as you want. That still has nothing to do with coming together and sharing freely, and still being fascinated back and forth with the two minds relating. That's what this card is suggesting. And that moves on and influences the Page of Swords, which becomes more important. It's a court card. It's more personality oriented. This is sort of something to do. This is something a little bit more ingrained. This is more of like a operating principle of one's personality to focus on. The sharing of minds happens. Now here, this guy learns fast. He wants to know more, but also the pages, valets, whatever you want to call them, they are communicators. They are the court communicators. They run around the court communicating back from one nobleman to another, the king to the princes, the queen. This is what they do. They're busybodies. They move. So this is, this guy has wings on his heels. He's able to move enthusiastically from one thing to another and communicate all the time. Open, enthusiastic, happy to learn more. Knows that he doesn't know a darn thing he really needs to know yet, but he knows he has to learn more. So that is sort of the sense of the approach with this sharing of the minds, this discussion, this how you talk to people. Enthusiasm. Use the enthusiasm to learn what they have, what they know. This guy listens. He doesn't know quite which way to go yet. That's why the feet are in two different directions, so straight. He doesn't know which way to go because he's young and enthusiastic, and he doesn't have all the info yet, but he wants it. He's pulled this thing out. He's ready to go. So that's basically saying enjoy the hell out of this process of getting to know someone's mind. It's sort of steering away from the body to the mind here. Share thoughts. Talk. And this guy will guide this guy makes it fun. And then we have coming through the window while this conversation is going, the King of Wands. This is fire, passion. This is the drive. This is the urge to be with people, the urge to create, to make, to build. It can be a relationship, it can be love, it can be physical, this is the driving, passionate human energy. Fire symbol, the king. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows how to express. He doesn't go crazy. He's secure in himself. When he desires something or someone, he knows exactly what to say. Because look, he's learned it all. He knows what this other person's thinking. He's willing to share his own thoughts. He's done that work. He's learned here. He's opened his ears. He knows when to close his mouth and listen to learn, but he also knows how to run around and communicate. And here, he relies on himself. He's confident. He can make very wise decisions that benefit. So, enthusiasm, open mind and ears, acknowledging that one doesn't know everything yet. So try to learn, listen. And when you feel that connection beyond mind, when you start moving beyond conversation, you feel that connection. You trust yourself because your experience and your confidence guide you to make wise decisions that benefit this question of creating more chances for love, of whatever kind it may be. Like that. You're welcome, Through Fire. Well, those people in proximity, you mentioned not so much love you feel from people in proximity. You know, that idea of the communication and the open sort of mind, listening and learning from people could in fact create new observations and opportunities there. All right, Creador 15. How you can achieve a better version of yourself to the new beginning that is coming. Okay, yes, better version of your... Seek advice how I can achieve a better version of myself to the new beginning that is coming. Okay, so you sense that there is a new beginning. Something new is happening. And you want to be your best possible self to go into that. You sense something new is coming. I get it. Okay. Okay, Creador 15. All right. I was just getting a sip of coffee. Better version of yourself. Oh, okay. All right, Creator 15. Something new is coming. How to face it or handle it or work with it as your best self. And you begin the Knight of Coins. This is material. This is earth essence, as spiritualized as you want to make it. Your attitude about the physical is your personal thing. It's the same as your attitude about a crystal. If you look at this and you decide to imbue it with some kind of spiritual force, that's if you have that ability, that's what you can do with the physical. You don't have to. It's just a possibility. The Knight is active, and these cards are all pretty big. These are personality cards. This is even deeper. This is go out and get it. This is take charge, go out there. If there's something you need, don't hesitate. That's what it's saying. Trust your ability. This guy rides out and he just does stuff. In other words, if this guy gets a call for an interview or a new job tomorrow, he jumps in his car and he just goes, oh yeah, I'm just going to walk in there with my big old cup of Starbucks coffee and sit down and I'm just going to get it. That's what he does. And that's just saying that part of your personality that's able to get things or to take hold of things or to deal with the physical of life, the money, the house, the body. Just rely on that ability of yours, however big it is. It's just saying, think about that part of you. That part of your personality that's able to take care of business, of tasks, and get them done, no crap. And enjoy the hell out of it. Because he does. Look at his horse prancing around. He's just like, whatever. And he stays. Look, he's focused right on the material, the solid, the worldly. What actually can I grab hold of and make sense of? Go get it. Now here, the king, the mind, the thinking, attitudes, conflict, your confrontations with others. It doesn't have to be negative. It can just be, arguing about plans at work. Should we make the box for our new product blue or should we make it yellow? But this is the king. This is the part of your personality that knows what the hell you're doing. You can get stuff done. You can make the work happen. You can go get a great deal on all the wood you need to build the house with this guy. This one can negotiate the contract and get everything squared away and make sure all the permits are in line. No question. This is taking care of all of this is knowing what needs to be done. This is understanding. This is dealing with all of the ideas and conflicts involved, but doing it with gentle, calm, secure sense of authority. No bluster, no nonsense, no jumping up and down and yelling. This is a king. This is the guy. This is the part of you that can just understand. Yes. It's like the person, I understand what you're saying. I know you're angry. It's okay. Everything's going to be handled. It's kind of that voice with this king. And it's saying, as things change and evolve and get more difficult, or you confront new ideas or new possibilities, take this calm, gentle, serene, but firm and confident approach. This guy doesn't get all nervous and break out in a sweat and go running out the door. No, no. This guy sits there and goes, here's the deal. Are you listening? That's what this guy does. Now here, what these are all coming to, what these are all pointing at, is the magician. This is the master worker. This is the tradesman, the craftsman, the person who applies all of their skills and understanding and makes stuff happen. But this is deep. This is a major arcana card. This is like something that's always there and always comes up, round like a merry-go-round. This is generally what you have to fall back on. You've got this calm negotiation skill here, this intellect. You've got this ability to just grab onto whatever it is you need and get the job done. And here, you've got those things influencing your ability to master and basically achieve almost miraculous results. That's what that guy does. So, look at that magician on the right side. That is a card to ponder. I mean, you don't even need a 3-card reading. You can just pull that image out of the deck anytime you want, anytime you're feeling a little nervous about things coming up, and think about that magician card, and that'll bring everything you need right up to the forefront of your mind. So, if you're going into something new, that's a great card. Well, Criador is crafter in Portuguese. How interesting. Because that's what the magician is. The magician card is a crafter. Yes, and he's at a work table. That's his workbench, and he uses the materials that he has at his disposal to create miracles. Yeah. Very good. So, oh, thank you, Carter, 1993. That deck is the Tarot de Marseille deck, the Marseille, the city in France. You're welcome, Creator 15. I always like getting that magician card. I'm going to check real quick in VR. And I'm going to try to keep my head still so people don't see a jiggling camera. So I'm going to change over to VR real quick. So hang on here. First I have to switch my... Okay. I'm going to try to keep my head still, relatively still. All right. So let's see if I can get this. All right. I'm assuming my microphone is working. Okay. So I'm going to keep things as smooth as I can. Now, the idea here is to see if anyone comes in to virtual reality. I'm in AltSpace VR. I don't know if anyone knows what AltSpace VR is, but it's a social virtual reality world. And I built this room. This little world is a tarot world that I built in here in VR. And I have a live screen with the 3-card reading on it. Now I'm going to have to go. Let me go and try and invite people. That means I'm going to go to the campfire. I'm going to go into the campfire and create a portal for tarot to bring them here. Okay. Wow. I don't even see anyone. That's unusual. There's no one here tonight. Bizarre. Huh. Well, okay, there are some friends of mine. They're in other worlds, but there's no one in the campfire. Wait. There should be 34 people here. How strange this is. Where are they? Are they hiding? Hello? Huh. Oh, there's one person. Oh, they just disappeared. I can light a sparkler. Hi, how are you? Oops. It went out. This is my friend Bentrez. Hi, how are you? I was just going into my tarot world to do a tarot reading. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I think she went away. Well, some night. Oh, here's someone. Who knows? You never know if people want tarot readings when you're in VR. Sometimes they come in like 10 at a time, and sometimes there's nobody around. Well, I'll just go in. I'll go back into my world. I don't think it's going to work tonight, unfortunately, the VR experience. At any rate, I can just do the reading. The reading is the Queen of Batons, wands, the moon, and the Five of Swords. So, what we're talking about is that sense of sort of positive, gentle awareness of our desire, our passions, our drives to make and create, to make something from nothing. That's what we're seeing on the left. That's something that is bringing us forward to the now. And that card in the middle is the moon. Now that's the dream. That's the dream state. That's sort of the wild coming up from underneath, the disturbance of the unconscious, the boiling up, the subterranean depths. Some people see madness in this card. It is sort of a madness, but one can think of it more positively as that enthusiasm for the self-discovery going on there. So this gentle, nurturing approach to one's passions, this ability to control, but create at the same time, this trust in our ability on the left guides us through and allows us to enjoy those hidden dreamlike ideas that can be very inspiring, that can nurture art, that can foster our creativity. That's like the ideas you come up with when you're half asleep. Those crazy times when you're like, what was I just thinking about? That's what that moon card is. Trust the intuition. Trust what comes up. It doesn't make a lot of sense. This is leaning toward the creative side of us because of this wands card on the left. This dream moon card, intuitive card in the middle. And then on the right, you have the unsettling new idea popping up. This Five of Swords, this sudden burst of new thought, of new knowledge, things that it offers a new possibility. It offers a chance to find a new way of doing things. That's what that 5 is saying. So because of the intuitive trust that one has in the creative process, one can open the mind
and allow new ideas to flourish there. And this will only help in the creative process going forward. That's basically what I'm getting from those 3 cards. There's no one here tonight, so this reading is just for us, and that's good enough for me. So I'm going to take the headset off. And
There we go. So, Carter, 1993. Let me see what you're saying. It always takes me a second to get my head out of the. Okay, Carter, 1993. Yes, you are next. I've been turning down any possible love interest because I've had the feeling maybe it's not good timing. I want to know if I'm making the right decision. Oh, or you're psyching yourself out. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see about turning down possible love interest. Maybe it's not good timing. I want to know if I'm making the right. Okay, I got it. All right. Let's just sort of ponder that idea of, I know that feeling of, we all do, that, meeting people, getting close to people, it's an investment. It's time. It's revelation. It's, there's work. When you get to know somebody and get involved with somebody initially, it's all very exciting. It can be very, but it also requires all, giving and substantial commitments of energy and time and thinking and feeling. So let's see. Let's sort of get an idea about what to consider. Getting into something new, maybe. That's the question. Should I? Or am I being hesitant for no real good reason? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. All right, you got 2 big cards here, 2 big major arcana, and you got a 1 number. Okay, well, Temperance. Temperance is easygoing and balanced. It's the temperament. It's
you temper, you balance things in moderation. This is sort of the sense of also taking disparate elements, things that are sometimes potentially in conflict, confusing, and bringing them together, mixing them. And by doing so, by mixing them and letting them exist together, you create something new. You create new awareness, new possibility. And this is a deep-seated personality card. This is psyche. This is something internal that's always there. It's always something to fall back on. Temperance has that ability to create and to make people comfortable, to balance things out, to take the harsh and the mild and mix them and create an elixir. You know, this combination, this making of the formula for success. That's what you're seeing in this card. And there's a spiritual angle to this, the angel wings. There's earth and there's spirit here. There's a mixing of the two forces. There's intuition, there's intellect. There's the balancing of those forces, of those personality aspects, the balancing of them, the mixing of things together to create stability here. Now, because of this ability to mix, to share, to literally temper extremes, all things in moderation, according to the Greeks. That's the idea hovering around here. Now, these bring us to this, the world, another huge one. This is the great womb of the world, the great birth of something new. This is a brand new, magnificent arrival. That tempering of extremes. You know, am I being too hesitant? Should I get involved in something passionate? Well, it lies somewhere in the middle with temperance. It lies somewhere, you know, it's saying, think about my calm nature. Think about that part of me that's able to take all sorts of things and juggle a whole bunch of different things and then put them all together and, you know, handle them, master them. Trust that part of me. I can handle lots of different things and out of all of that chaos, make something good. And of course, here is the arrival. This is the personality saying, oh my gosh, who would have thought it would feel this good? That's the world card. The world card, she's dancing in the center. She is saying, I did it. I am here. I am enjoying where I am in the very present moment. This is success and achievement. This is reaching a pinnacle, a point of development where you just say, oh, I just want to enjoy being alive. That's what that card is. And so this is saying right now, this kind of rely on this balancing part of your psyche. It brings this forward. This becomes very apparent, this feeling of arrival, of success, of love.
but it's that kind of love that sort of makes you love everything. Like sometimes when you meet a person and you really fall in love with them, it colors your whole perception of every street you even walk on. All of a sudden things are glowing, like they're a little brighter than they were before. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but that's what this card is getting at. And then something to consider as it, something coming up to keep your eye on. The Three of Coins, Three of Pentacles, the active number of the three, the active number in the physical form, the earthy symbol of the coins. That's the body, that's touch, that's life that you hold, that you touch, you eat, you spend, you grab hold of, you build. This is physical. This is the three, action. This is like the bursting, exploding forward of action. And this number card means this is something that just sort of happens pretty soon, comes up. These are very much deeper personality parts. This is an active, something to sort of think about in the doing realm. The three, active, grab, take, seize the moment, put into action physically what the heart is enjoying and feeling here. There's a great sort of sense of self in the World card. There's a lot of balance and consideration here, an ability to keep things sort of on the smooth path, moderation. Coming up right now, there's this feeling of self, deep comfort and admiration of oneself and achievements, taking action, doing what you want to do in the physical sense. So Carter, 1993, it's sort of, one of those things where it's saying, you've had a very calm, measured approach to things. Clearly, because you're sort of in the middle, considering. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the success of who you are. That self-confident World card in the middle. And that feeling, that confidence gives you the ability to take that action, that physical action of actually, getting things done. And since we are talking about possible love interests, I guess, that card is bringing you down to earth in the immediate sense and basically saying the number 3 is the be active card, the initiative card, the putting into physical action what you have, thought about before. And there you have it. Carter, 1993, yes. I know all about those hesitations. And that 3, the number cards are less significant than the big major arcana cards, the 2 on the left. Those are things you kind of have that are parts of you that you can think about to influence. The 3 card is more of a sort of immediate, simple, active card. Not too meaningful. It's just over the next few days, basically. It just means, don't worry about taking actions that are based on these feelings of moderation. You have that. You have self-confidence and the pleasure of just sort of succeeding in the world. And you let those influence how you take the next few actions you take. That's what that 3 of coins is suggesting. Good. Well, we've done a good number of readings tonight. I'm going to end the stream very shortly here, and I'm going to get myself sort of prepared over the next week or so to try and I think I'll probably stream again tomorrow, but I'm going to try and throw some I Ching in. I may surprise myself and get that in sooner than I'm thinking, but I think that'll be really fun. All right, so everyone, I hope you have an excellent rest of your night or evening, and it's been great reading for all the cool questions tonight. So I will say good night and enjoy the cards.